My family was always the type that was going to be in church on a Sunday. For as long as I can remember, that's what we did. That was every Sunday. That's my foundation, and I honestly don't think I would be alive without it today, without God in my life. When I went to college to play football, I went as a walk-on athlete. That's when I started drifting. God was a part of my life, but he wasn't the center of it. It seemed to happen overnight. No longer under the thumb of my parents, I let loose. I started smoking weed. I got caught up in the moment. I started trying to leave God behind, thinking I could do it all on my own. I was trying to hide and blend in with the world when God really made me to stand out. If it wasn't for football, I would have flunked out of school. Even with football, I barely stayed eligible. And in 5 years, I never graduated. What I did do was focus on football. That focus led me to being an undrafted free agent and playing in the NFL for 2 years. My NFL career, it was short and it was messy, filled with failed drug tests, suspensions. I remember playing a game coming off of some sort of cocktail of methamphetamines and Xanax, and I really know that God saved my life that day. The rest of the short time I had in the league was gambling, rehab, another suspension, bad relationships, poor advice, and it was very little God. It was a lot of chaos, and I was one creating it. The next few years were a blur. I told myself that I didn't have a problem. I fought to save my career on my own, of course. I isolated. I watched one of my best friends die. I got arrested. Teams either gave up on me or just said no. My agent dropped me, rightfully so. And I still couldn't figure out where to go or what to do next. Now, at this point, I'm 29 years old. I haven't played football in 4 years. And the realization that my football career isn't just over, but it's probably been over for some time now, that's really starting to set in. I know I need to find a job. Don't know where to go. Suddenly, I keep getting emails about a career fair during the Super Bowl weekend in Miami. God speaks to me and tells me to go, and I listen. I call my mom, ask her for help, because at this point I'm broke. Shout out to mom and dad. I rented a car, drove from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Miami, Florida, which is about 1,400 miles. It paid off. Seattle brought new beginnings. I started the new job. I fell in love with a girl. And after a few months, we decided to move to Dallas, Texas. 3 weeks later, we found out we were having a baby. Things were good. Sometime during the pregnancy, the drugs crept back into my life. I got clean, I slipped. I got clean, I slipped again. And in June 2023, my ex-wife and I got laid off at the same time, and I tried to act calm, but I spiraled. I started using again. I made an even worse decision after that, and I asked for a divorce. By the time I realized I didn't want that to happen, it was too late. The trust was gone. She filed for divorce, and in January 2024, I moved to Kansas City, Missouri to start a new job. Living in Kansas City, studio apartment, no TV, no couch, just me, God, my bed, and my speaker. I walked around that tiny apartment crying out to God, just praying and crying, singing and praising God, and just hoping that he would help me and heal me and fix me. This year was filled with ups and downs. I had good moments. I had slip-ups. I spent 2 days in a hospital because I wanted to end my life. And even through all of this, God never left my side. Feeling alone, feeling like a failure, failed marriage, I'm failing as a dad. But I kept crying, and I kept praying, and I kept crying out to God, just asking for him to help me. Even in all of those moments, even when I was tired, God never left me. I asked God to pick up that cross that I couldn't carry, and he said, absolutely. What took you so long to ask? Being away from my daughter was the hardest part. Feeling alone, feeling like a failure, failed marriage, failing as a dad, but I kept praying and calling out to God, and in October 2024, I was able to move to Seattle, Washington, to be closer to my daughter. Here I am, a work in progress. I'm not there yet, but I'm trying. I'm just a dad doing his best to follow God and to be more like Jesus. And if you're struggling with anything in your life, maybe you're divorced like me, maybe you've made mistakes like I have, or you're just in a lot of pain, just know that you too can call out to God. He will hear you just like he heard me. You don't have to hide. And I bet he will be waiting and wondering why it took you so long to ask.